to nothing too long. Take what you need from the ladies and leave them with the words, sad country song. Hello everybody, welcome to another Monday night mini medicine card readings. I'm a little bit late. I apologize. But we are here now. Come on in. I am Patrick, your friendly neighborhood shaman, and we are going to pull some medicine cards. So, hey Amaral and Anna. So the way this works, if you haven't been here before, the first 6 people to say yes in the comments get a 1 card reading. And if you're not one of the first 6, then you're not out of luck. You just choose a number between 1 and 6. And I promise that somehow Spirit will answer you, woven into the message for whatever particular person that card is for. So come on in. And the only thing I ask in return, well, I should put a different shirt on. But it's Tinkerbell. So, and if hi. Sorry, I'm kind of like, I was rushing. I was like, I'm late. I was rushing, trying to get here, get to this, and get everything ready. And I got ahead of myself. So, welcome. Thank you for joining me. The only thing I ask of you for watching is if you would please, you love Tinkerbell too? Yeah, me too. Is to please share this video and share it to someone else's page, or you can tag someone in the comments. Whatever floats your boat. So thank you again for joining me. And looks like it might be a short night tonight. We only got 2 people so far. So we'll just go ahead and start. Amaral, you were first. And so our first card, card number 1 for Amaral. Amaral, you got 2 cards that jumped out. Oh, wow. You just coached the breathwork was tonight. That's intense. So there might be some other people joining us in a minute or so once they get their act together. But so Amaral, 2 cards jumped out. You got dog and you got heron. You know, I've never, it's so funny because when I'm doing readings, when more than 1 card comes up, or if I'm doing a spread, you know, you can rattle off what like a single card means, right? You can say, oh, this means this, and then this means this. But when you read them together, it's always such an interesting kind of alchemy between the cards, between the medicines of the various animals. And it's like, so like the message is somewhere in between these 2. It's kind of like the relationship of these 2 energies. And Amaral, I know you just led breath work, and I mean, first off, like top of my head, the first thing is, it kind of reflects that. You've got dog, who is the guardian, right? Dogs are guardians. Dogs are the protectors, the ones that hold space, right? And Heron is about stillness, about alignment. And so, like in the breath work that you're leading, oh, it's your dog Oreo's birthday? Happy birthday, Oreo! Yay! Awesome. So it's like there's this holding space for others, that guardianship, that protector, fueled by love, fueled by a huge heart, right? Dog has probably the biggest heart of the animal kingdom. And so it's like the combination, and tonight it's just obvious that, like, because you mentioned the breath work, and I can see how that can work into it, but this also fits for the rest of your life and the rest of everything else you do and who you are. And so there's this combination of love and compassion and the ability to hold space for others, to hold safe space for others, right? And to be in alignment and stillness. And so it's kind of, because you've been doing the work, because of who you are, what you've been through, you know how to hold space. You know how to be that guardian around the perimeter so that everyone else feels safe, like to move into alignment, right? If everyone else that you were leading, if they didn't feel safe, they couldn't drop their barriers or their walls or whatever, they wouldn't be able to get into alignment. They wouldn't be able to do their work. You know, if you've ever seen one of my other videos, like the videos I do on Wednesday nights, the Sacred Pipe Ceremony, every week I talk about, you know, the first thing we do is set sacred space. And the purpose for that is to call in the spirits, to create an energetic container around us of higher vibration. And so because of that higher vibration, nothing of a lower vibration can get in. And so what that does for us, being in that space, is that we don't have to be hyper vigilant looking for threats or feeling like we have to protect ourselves, because the only way to grow, the only way to receive the blessings from Spirit is to open our hearts and receive. Just like that old Zen saying about how you can't grasp water, right? The only way to hold water or to catch water is in open hands. And it's the same with your heart. If we're sitting here trying to protect ourselves, there's no room for Spirit to come in, right? And that's part of the thing, too, about how, you know, our guides, our angels, whoever, you know, our ancestors, all of our guardians, they're there waiting for us to, they're ready to help us, but we have to ask, right? And that's how so by opening our heart, it's like, please, you know, it's like, I am open to receive what you have for me. And as the guardian, as the teacher, that's you holding that space around the group. And obviously, people feel safe in your presence. They feel safe in that space, because I know a number of people who do the breath work with you. And I know everyone that I know that does that breath work with you, rave about it. And I have seen the change. I have seen the changes and the growth that happen. And that can only happen with someone who holds that space. Right? And not only, it's kind of a double thing, because not only are you holding that space, but you're also in alignment, right? Heron stands with his feet solidly in the earth and the mud beneath the water and his head in the sky. So he's that bridge between heaven and earth, right? And so in a way, like when I call in sacred space, I call in the elements first. North is earth, east is air, south is fire, west is water. So I'm calling in the perimeter this way, kind of two-dimensionally, and then I call in shamanism, we see the universe as in three worlds. There's the upper world, the lower world, and the middle world. The middle world is where we are. The upper world and the lower world are the transcendent realms, right? Your spirit, your more human spirit teachers tend to live in the upper world, and power animals, animal spirits, tend to live in the lower world. And so when I'm calling in, I set that perimeter first, and then I call in the spirits of the upper world, the spirits of the lower world, and the compassionate spirits of the middle world. And so it's like, this is the, earth, air, fire, water. This is upper world, lower world, and middle world. And so it's, that is what you do for people. When people take your classes, or when people encounter you or interact with you, that's what you bring to the table. Exactly. And like you're doing it. You've always wanted to be that supportive person for others. You have arrived, right? And the thing is, you couldn't do this for others if you hadn't done the work and if you hadn't achieved that for yourself, okay? So this is like a huge thumbs up from the universe for you to take credit. It's like there's a certain threshold that you cross where you're no longer doing things just for yourself, right? I mean, we all, even the greatest teachers among us, we're always learning, we're always growing, we're always evolving, right? But there comes a point where it's almost like you're a pitcher and you're being filled with water, and you're being filled with so much that it starts to flow out. It can't contain all of the fluid that is coming to it. And so it ends up overflowing and going and supporting others. It's kind of like, it's like the threshold of becoming the teacher or the healer, where you're no longer doing things just for your own benefit. And because like when I went on my first vision quest, and I met White Buffalo Calf Woman, who has been one of my main guides since then. And what she told me in that vision quest was that my path was to be shared. And what she told me, I'm relating this to you as well, it's like you hit a point where you have to look back at your past and see how far you've come, right? And all this whole space of time and energy and experiences give you the wisdom on which to stand, right? It gives you, you have to take credit for how far you have come, for what you have achieved to get to this point, right? So that's what keeps you grounded, keeps you like, it gives you the authority to speak of what you've learned, right? The best teachers teach from experience, right? And so you have this whole backlog of experiences, which translates into wisdom. And at some point, you realize that you hit this threshold where you've got enough wisdom that you can't help but share it with people, right? And at the same time, so she told me about that, is like, take credit for where you are now. Look at all the work you've done, the experiences, the wisdom you've gained. And that is what gives you confidence to keep doing what you're doing. And at the same time, from this point forward, look at how much you still have to grow and to learn and to know. And that's what keeps you humble. And so it's like this threshold of having enough wisdom that you can't help but be an authority on what you've experienced. And yet, with that full awareness that you're not done yet and that you have so much still to learn, that's where you keep that humility. So because you know that you're not the world's foremost expert on anything, right? But you have this experience and you can share your story. You can share what's happened and what you've learned from different things. And that's also what makes you relatable, right? Because you don't put yourself above others. It's like you may be a little bit further along the path than others, but you're not more powerful, or you're not better than anyone else, if that makes sense. So again, I think this is a double thumbs up from the universe. This is balance. This is balance. And like I said, I love Heron. Heron is one of my favorites, and it is that bridge. It's like you're holding the space, that balance between heaven and earth, right? Spirit and the physical. And because you've done everything you've done, you have become this pillar of strength that spans those three worlds, right? And so others can gain strength from your experience, from your wisdom and your example, right? And like I said before, it's like, so you're a leader, right? And a good leader creates more leaders. A leader doesn't create followers, because a leader has, again, like I just said, that humility, that they know that they're not the best of everything, right? But they know, they have that confidence of who they are and what they've experienced, and they know that they're still learning. And so they inspire others. It's like by waking up your own heart, opening your own heart, and sharing those experiences, you inspire others to open their own heart and find their own path. So I hope that is helpful. I hope that makes sense to you. But if I remember correctly, it's like, it seems like every week is another attaboy kind of thing from the universe, like to let you know how well you are doing. And maybe just like, maybe to, like, by example, give you, how do I want to say this? To allow yourself to take credit for what you know and what you do, right? A lot of times when we hear taking credit, it sounds like it's an ego thing, like, oh, I'm so good because I can do this stuff. But claiming your experience and claiming the things that you know that you've been through, you know, without it being like, oh, and I'm so much better than anyone else. It's like taking credit for where you've been, for what you know, is not ego. Ego is downplaying it or inflating it, right? Ego is like, oh, you can come to me because I know everything. I know exactly what you need to do or you need to know, right? That's ego. But by just saying, oh, well, this is what I've experienced. It may or may not resonate with you, but here's my story, etc. So you're welcome, Emerald. I'm glad that resonated with you. So for anyone coming in late, we have spaces left. If you want to just say yes in the comments, we have a few spots left for one card reading. Otherwise, it's going to be a short night, which isn't that bad either. But hi, Jefflin. You are on the list. You will be up next after this one. Awesome. All right, so Anna, my friend. Let's see who is coming to talk with you tonight. All right, Anna, you got salmon. Hey, Chelsea, do you want a card? Good to see you. All you have to do is say yes if you want a card, and I will give you a card. So, Anna, you got salmon, and salmon is about coming home. All right, Chelsea, you are on the list. Awesome. Good to have you guys with me. I appreciate your being here. So salmon, what this tells, what I'm getting from this is that you are really starting to trust your intuition, to trust that inner compass, right? Salmon returning home, they have that innate compass within them, and they don't question it. It's just they know they're going home, and there's this enthusiasm about getting there. There's that enthusiasm that carries them up over the waterfalls and such, right? It's kind of like that old saying about how God helps those who help themselves. And salmon, by just being so gung-ho, following spirit, following their own vision of where they're meant to go, right? Everyone else thinks that they're going backwards. Like, what's wrong with that fish? It's going backwards. It's going against the flow. But salmon is actually follow the undercurrents that actually flow in the opposite direction of the main current. So they're not just fighting the current, but they can see their path, and they trust themselves and their guidance so much that they just go for it. It doesn't matter what anyone else says or thinks or what it looks like to anyone else. And they have such an enthusiasm. Like a couple of years ago when the salmon were running, I was sitting down by the river on this rock, and there was a salmon kind of hanging out next to the bank, a little bit away from me. So I kind of mentally said hello, and it actually came over and sat under the rock I was sitting on. So we kind of hung out together, and the one thing that was the most obvious was the salmon was just radiating enthusiasm. I could feel its enthusiasm. He couldn't wait to get back into the river and head home. it was like that coming home for Christmas kind of feeling or something. It's like he knew he was going home, and there was nothing that was going to get in his way. Even if things do get in his way, he knew that between him and Spirit, everything was overcomable, right? That nothing could stand in his way. And that if anything did stand in his way, somehow he was going to get through it. And so from that perspective, his whole travel home, his whole journey home, rather than something to be fearful or anxious about, became an adventure, because he knew hell or high water, he was going home. And no matter what stood in his way, he was going to go over it or under it or somehow through it, right? And so it's kind of like regaining your bearings, regaining your compass, but it's so much more than just knowing where you're going and trusting that you're going to get there. There's also there's this rising enthusiasm within you that knows you're going in the right direction, that knows that this is going to happen, that you are going to get where you're going no matter what, right? And that's the main key. I mean, we could, like, you talk about the compass and trusting your intuition and all that, but there's a really deeply emotional part of this. And it's like, every inch further, closer to home you get more and more excited. It's like, I remember this place. I remember that. Oh, I'm almost home. I'm almost there. Can't wait, right? So good for you. It's kind of like regaining your strength, regaining your energy. And I think it's in Norway. Their word for somersault has the same root word as their word for salmon, because they would see these fish that were so joyful, so filled with joy and energy, that they would leap up over waterfalls, right? And they would see their kids tumbling in the grass, and they equated that joy. And so it's like this joy. It's like this joyful, I can't wait to get home. I can't wait to get home. It's going to be so glorious, right? And there's also an element of to the Celts, salmon is the oldest and the wisest of animals. And so I'm getting the sense too that there's this, it's all tied together. But part of the enthusiasm and part of the confidence and self-assuredness comes from this deep-seated wisdom of who you are, of your authenticity, of you being divine by nature, right? That there is nothing that can take you out. There is nothing that can stand in your way of wholeness, right? I'm just so excited for you. It's such a great medicine. And coming through all the things that you've come through and facing all the things that you faced, it's like you're still going. You're still going. And like the salmon that I hung out with that time, it's like he was sitting on the side of the river because he needed to rest. So it's not just this go, 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 right? It's going and then resting when it's time to rest. And then going and then resting and gaining your strength and your energy again, and then going And so it's that balance, right? And I think I told you about this before, but recently when I do this monthly shamanic journey circle, which actually, is it coming up this week? It's the third Friday of the week. I think it might be this coming Friday if you're in the area. But we journey together and we journey for each other and stuff. And the last time, one of the messages that came through to me for someone else was that rest is a step forward. We always think, well, I can't rest because I'm going to lose my place, or that's going backwards and I'm going to lose time and energy. It's like, no, rest is a step forward. That there is no going back. But in order to keep, it's that you have, if you're going to exhale, you have to inhale, and vice versa, right? You can't just exhale all the time, or you're going to pass out, right? And it's the same thing. Rest is like inhale is the next step after exhale, and then exhale is the next step after inhale, and it's moving forward. Rest is the next step. So don't get down on yourself for having to rest or, thinking you're doing nothing. It is an important part of the journey as well, okay? So good job. Good job. I hope that resonates. I hope that makes sense to you. Awesome. All right, Jefflin, you are next, card number 3. And anyone else has come on, sometimes my thing says it. Good, I'm glad it does. You're welcome, Anna. Sometimes Facebook tells me when there's more people on, sometimes it doesn't. I've come to not really trust the little numbers at the top of the screen because they're not always accurate. So if there's anyone else that's come on, 1, 2, 3, 4. I still have 2 spots open. I do six 1-card readings for people, and I've only got 4 people signed up. So if you're new on here, coming in later, and you want a 1-card reading, all you have to do is say yes in the comments, and I will see to it that you get a reading. All right, Jefflin, card number 3. Huh. I was just talking to Emerald about leadership, and Jefflin got Mountain Lion, which is absolutely about leadership. Mountain Lion is about finding your voice, and claiming your territory, and like with all cats. Right? Cats are territorial. And so it's really about boundaries. Oh, hi, Tammy from Maui. Wow. Awesome. I don't know if I've had anyone from Hawaii before. That's really cool. Thanks for watching. Did you want a card? I'm going to assume you want a card, so I'm going to put you on the list. That's awesome. Thanks for joining us. Aloha. So Jefflin, don't be afraid. Cool, I got you on the list, Tammy. Jefflin, don't be afraid to use your voice. Don't be afraid to set boundaries, right? Mountain Lion has the teeth and the claws and the hiss and the, they cry. They don't really roar. They're not one of the roaring cats. They're like I think they're the biggest of the purring cats. Cats can either purr or they can roar. It's something to do with the throat. But Mountain Lion can hiss, and they can, like that panther cry that just kind of, stops your blood. But all of those things like the teeth, like the snarl, like the hiss. Those are communication devices to avoid conflict. Those things are not to incite conflict. Like we're taught from an early age that you don't make waves and you got to be polite. You don't speak up, and you let people walk all over you or whatever, even if it feels uncomfortable. And it's like, no. And so we're taught, because when anyone, stands their ground or speaks up for themselves, especially women, unfortunately, they're seen as aggressive. And they're seen as trying to incite violence or conflict, when those things, setting your boundaries, speaking up, speaking from your heart, how you feel about things, or it's like, sorry, saying, no, I can't do that today, or whatever it is, that is a way to avoid conflict. It's communication, right? And so you see the teeth, you snarl, the claws, you know not to step any closer to that cat, because you know exactly what's coming if you do, right? And so don't be afraid to cry or scream like the panther, like Mountain Lion. But also the fact that she came up upright is also a kind of a thumbs up to tell you you may not have noticed it yourself yet, but you have made great strides in claiming your territory, in setting boundaries, in advocating for yourself. And so, it's a case of it being a both and rather than an either or. Like, we think that someone can either be aggressive or passive, right? If someone's either in your face or they're like a recluse, right? But what Mountain Lion brings is a balance of both. It's that kind of more that masculine protecting your boundaries, speaking up for yourself, setting solid boundaries that allows you the space you need to still be the soft, cuddly kitten at the same time, right? And so it's not an either or. It's actually because of the strength you have to set your territory that allows you to have that space to yourself, to be yourself, to not be on all the time, to not have to be hyper vigilant and on guard, right? Kind of like, it's very similar to the earlier one with Emerald, where Dog and Heron came up. And it's like setting that sacred space for yourself. And holding that space, being the guardian, the advocate for yourself, saying, no, I'm not comfortable with that today. It might change tomorrow, but right now, keep your distance. Right now, I am not going to do that. I'm going to cancel this appointment, or I'm just not going to talk about that today. Right? Clause. And if, the other thing, if, okay, my guides are saying that this is from my guides. It's like, okay, how are you wording it? You have to get used to other people being intimidated by you. And, pay attention to what I said, the words exactly. You are not intimidating, but others may be intimidated by you. In other words, they're the ones feeling intimidated. That is their choice. You are presenting. Like, I remember there was a show on TV back in the 90s. It was Carson, I forget his last name. He was one of the Queer Eye for the Straight Guy people. And he had a show called How to Look Good Naked or something like that, right? And one of the things that he helped women feel better in their own skin, feel better about how they looked, etc. And one of the things that he always hammered home was that you are only responsible for the presentation. You are not responsible for how people receive you or how people respond to you. That is their responsibility. Responsibility, right? It's how they respond to you. You aren't in charge of how they feel or how they respond. If you are coming from your heart, which is your authority, that's where the leadership comes from. The leadership comes from following your heart, because your heart is what connects you to Creator. So when you listen to your heart, you are actually listening to divine guidance. And because your heart is connected to the heart of all beings, if your heart says yes to something, it has already taken into consideration the well-being of every living thing. And so you don't have to second guess yourself. You don't have to try to figure out how it's going to affect someone else or how someone else might feel because of it. If your heart says yes, it's automatically for the highest good of everyone, because we're all connected. And as we each get better, we each get better. Nothing can be for your betterment and at the same time be to the detriment of someone else, and vice versa. The tide raises all ships. If it's for your highest good, it's for the highest good of everyone. And if your heart tells you that, no, I don't feel up to handling that right now, this day, like we might reschedule, but right now it's a no, right? And sticking up for yourself and trusting your heart, knowing that others, don't judge yourself by how other people respond. Don't think you're a bad person because other people are intimidated. That just means that they aren't your people. Because if they were resonating at the same level you were, they would see it as setting healthy boundaries, as healthy communication, and they would respect it. If they're down here and they're looking at you, like for instance, I was doing a soul retrieval for someone one time, and one of the power animals that came back to help him was a dragon. And so I'm like talking to this dragon, asking him what was the gift he was bringing back, what was his message for this person and stuff. And the dragon said that that most people see dragons as very arrogant, and they have this air about them that they're very arrogant and too good for anyone else and such, right? And this dragon said that is not the truth. He said, dragons just know who they are. They know what they deserve. They know their own worth. And they settle for nothing less. And they see the worth in all other beings, right? And so people look at them and they're looking, oh my God, that's intimidating. Oh my God, he's so arrogant. He thinks he's better than me, right? When the dragon can see the worth and the value of this being, even if they're being intimidated, but that's this being's perception because they're not up here, right? And so if others don't like you or they're intimidated by you, that means that they're lower than you. And to add to it, by acting from your heart, voicing your authority, speaking for yourself, whether they like it or not, that is for their highest good. And even if they respond poorly, you actually just planted a seed, right? By approaching them with an open heart, especially if you are a higher vibration than they are, then what's happening is entrainment, like the same phenomenon when you have a room full of clocks and eventually they all are tick-tocking at the same rate, right? If you walk into a room and your heart is open and you're the highest frequency in the room, everyone's hearts open at least a little bit. It's like everyone is drawn higher, even just a little bit. And that actually is what makes people intimidated or scared, because they don't know what that feeling is. And all of a sudden they could accuse you of hexing them or cursing them because all of a sudden they can't act the same way they did before, or whatever it is. But you're coming from your heart as your authority. You're living within your territory. No one else can tell you what is right or what is wrong for you. Okay? Does that all make sense? I hope that makes sense. But again, it's like thumbs up. It's like, give yourself credit for how far you've come and how much you have changed. Okay? Hoofda. All right, so card number 4 for Chelsea. We have the Minnesota contingent tonight. Yay. Yeah, sure, you betcha. All right. All right. Chelsea, you got whale. I seem to remember, you're welcome, Jefflin. I'm glad it made sense. I'm glad it hit home. Chelsea, did I see someplace that you have a book coming out or something, or you've got one in the works? Because whale is the record keeper. I seem to recall that you have either one coming out soon or it's in the works or something. And that's totally whale, right? And I also know that you do that you're a huge dream worker. And whales are such, if you think about whale in the ocean, whales are, well, they're the record keepers. I think I said that already. But it's said that they sing the history of the world in their song, right? They're basically the librarians of the earth. And, like that Japanese scientist who did the, what is it called? Messages in Water or something like that, where he would speak words of love and compassion into water, then he would flash freeze it. This is your book. It's coming. It's so exciting. You have so much to share with the world, right? And your voice, I'm going to go in a different direction. I'll come back from what I was saying, but water is one of the best conductors of sound, right? It is one of the best, sound carries. So whales on one side of the planet can literally talk to other whales on the other side of the planet. And what I'm giddy. Your voice is going to be heard literally around the world. Your voice is going to be carried, and it is going to help others in places you didn't even know existed. You have a song to sing, a voice, and it is going to be well received, and it is going to go further than you could imagine. Wow. Give me a second. I need to kind of ground after that. Wow. Yeah, and the thing that I was saying earlier, like the whole messages in water, where the scientist would speak words of love and compassion into water, and then he would flash freeze it and take pictures of the crystals, the ice crystals that formed. And then he would do the same thing, but with words of fear or anger and stuff, and then flash freeze and take pictures of the crystals. And the crystals that received the love were like these beautiful, multifaceted stars, right? Snowflakes kind of things. And they were beautiful. The ones that were spoken from fear or hate or anger were all like half-formed and jagged and not completely there. And so not only does water carry sound, water is the library of the history of the earth. And I can't help think about that as a metaphor for dreaming, because what are dreams? You're going into that ocean, the Akashic records. You're going into the history of the universe, and you're like pulling out a book. You're checking out a book from the library, right? And what's interesting at this time, there's so much of the ice and glaciers that are melting, and it's like the ice. Okay, so this is a little out there, and but there are those who say that, like, the first denizens that came to the earth, like the ancient astronauts, there was a race of giants that lived in the north. Frost giants, Norse mythology, huh? And their job was they stayed in the north in the cold, in the ice, because they were programming all this cosmic information into the ice crystals to be held, to be saved, like a library, right? And so the whales are the librarians that can read all that information and all those records and all those books. And so this is you taking that deep dive into the unknown, into the dark, finding the information you need, through dream time, through dreaming, etc., and coming back with that information, whether it's for you or for someone else. This is just so powerful. It's like you are in your element as much as a whale is in its element when it's in the ocean, right? Like, you were born for this. And the other thing I like to point out is the star up here is actually Sirius, the dog star. It's the brightest star in the night sky. And according to mythology and lore, that is where whale originates from. That whale came from there to the earth. And so, being the brightest star in the sky, whale always has his bearings. Kind of like salmon earlier, when salmon came up. It's like whale always knows where home is. Whale is never lost. Whale always has his bearings, which allows him to navigate anywhere because he's never lost. So I think I'm just I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited. I can't wait to read your book because it's going to be a success. Because it's so authentically who you are. This gets to the very bedrock of your being, of who you are and who you came here to be, right? So please let me know when your book comes out, because I seriously would be the first in line to get it. So I hope that all makes sense. I hope that is helpful. You do beautiful work. You inspire me. So, good job. All right, card number 5 for Tammy. I love that there's someone from Hawaii. I don't think I've ever had anyone from that far away before. All right. So card number 5 for Tammy. Haha. Very powerful cards all around tonight, Chelsea. And you're so welcome. That it's like you are so on the right path. You are so in the right place. It reminds me of that quote from Joan of Arc. It's like, I am not afraid. I was born to do this. It's like you're exactly in the right place at the right time. So good for you. All right, Tammy, you got grouse. I love grouse. Grouse is about the spiral dance. And I knew grouse was going to come up tonight because I just read something else about spirals the other day, which I'll share in a second. But grouse, when they dance in a spiral, right? It's that Fibonacci spiral, the golden mean, and how everything in existence is somehow in the form of that spiral, right? From the biggest galaxies to thunderstorms to seashells and pine cones and flowers down to our own DNA, right? So it's the spiral that ties us to all things. It's the fractals, as above, so below, right? And what I just read the other day that is so fascinating is that it was this article about our hearts. And I'm not going to go into the whole art. It was kind of complex and deep. But one of the things that came out of it was the fact that we think of our heart as a pump, right? It pumps and it just forces the blood through our veins, right? We think of this just straight flow. But actually, our individual blood cells actually rotate. So there's that spiral as they move. And not only that, our blood spirals through our veins. It doesn't just flow straight through. It spirals, and there's like 2 different currents that flow around each other. So everything spirals. Spirals, I think, are one of the, if not the oldest, are one of the oldest known sacred symbols that humans have. And so it really is about what ties us to all things. The thing about grouse, they are also drummers. They're the drummers of the animal kingdom. Maybe not the only ones, but they beat their wings in such a way that they create the same phenomenon as thunder. They beat their wings in a way that separates the air and then makes it slam back together. So when you hear them drumming, you don't actually hear it as much as you feel it. And you feel it right here. And that's exactly what it is. It's that heartbeat. And so it's about marching to the beat of your own drum, dancing to the beat of your own drum. It's like the spiral ties you to all things, but the universe is diverse. The universe is not homogenized, right? You are not just lost in this vast vacuum of nothingness. You are an essential part of the orchestra that is life itself. And so it's like, I hope people aren't getting tired of this analogy, because I use it all the time, but it's like the universe is an orchestra, literally. Like I just said to Jeff Lynn about, your heart being your authority. Your heart connects you to Creator. Your heart also connects you to the heart of all humanity, all living things. And so it's like this orchestra. You have your own unique song, your own unique part. It's like you're like I played trombone in grade school, and so like trombones had their own part and the woodwinds had their part, and they're all done by watching the conductor, Creator. Or you don't play your part by paying attention to the flute and seeing, okay, I got to come in. Okay, there it is. Boop, 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 boop. And you don't figure out where you are by where the flute part is, or where the Tiffany is, or whatever. You have your music in front of you. You have your own unique part. And you watch the conductor, because when everyone in the orchestra watches the conductor, then everyone is playing in harmony, and you don't miss your parts because your reference point is the conductor. So everyone living from their heart, Creator is their conductor. Creator is their reference point. And so by acting from your heart, you're automatically in harmony with everyone else. And even within the different instruments, right? I was always like, there was like first trombone, second trombone, third trombone, fourth trombone. I was always in the bottom part of that. But even among the trombones, we didn't have the same exact part. We were in harmony with each other. And so this is about finding your own unique heartbeat, that at the same time that it connects you to all of creation, it also sets you apart, makes you unique. It's not about being like everyone else, right? In fact, this red spot right there on his neck, that's an air sac. And there's one on the other side as well. And when they're dancing, those air sacs blow up bigger than his head. This brilliant, vibrant red. So it's like, it's that thing about dancing like nobody's looking, right? It's like letting your true colors show. Because there is no one who can judge you, because you are the only one who is living your life, who is playing your part, who is marching to your drum beat. No one else has any authority to judge you. And if you're living from your heart, living from watching the conductor, if other people are unhappy with you or can't sync up with you, that's because they're not acting from their heart. It has nothing to do with you. If you are dancing to your own drum beat, if you are living from your heart, moving toward joy, that is all you need to do. Everyone else then gets to choose and decide how they are going to react to you, but you have no responsibility as to how that affects anybody else. You know, if everyone, like a friend once said a long time ago, if everybody was singing the same note, there'd be no such thing as harmony, right? That can be beautiful too. Like, I love Gregorian chant. I actually went to college at a Benedictine monastery, and I love Gregorian chant. But it's all singing the same notes. There is no harmony, right? And in fact, in the history, I'm not a music history person, but I do know that somewhere in the Middle Ages that harmony became a thing, and it was so radical, right? Kind of like the waltz was radical at one time because people danced facing each other. Oh my God. But it's like the harmony was radical, and it was sometime during the Middle Ages that it came to the forefront. But it's like I said diversity earlier. It's like that is the key. Like in Star Trek, I think it's like the I don't know if you call it a mission statement or what it would be, but Starfleet has a saying, and it's infinite diversity in infinite combinations. And it's just IDIC, and that is such a beautiful way of describing the universe. So that's exactly what it is. Infinite diversity in infinite combinations. That is the essence of grouse. So it's being diverse. Be, your own drum beat. What makes your heart sing? What makes your heart dance? And following that bliss. Because that adds so much more to the orchestra of the universe. And I can't overemphasize how important your song is to that entire orchestra. If you weren't here to give that vibration, that frequency, that sound, that song, the universe would collapse. You are necessary. So prioritize yourself. Prioritize your own heart, your own path, and let yourself shine. Like at the end of every video, I always say, go shining. That's exactly what I mean. Go shining. It is past time to hide. It is past time to hold back our light, to play small. It is time to shine. Let your true colors show. Unapologetically be yourself. And the universe can only benefit. Okay? Wow. Awesome. I hope that makes sense, Tammy. I hope that is helpful. And that is all the cards we have for tonight. I know we've only had 5 people, but I've actually talked for more than an hour already. So we're going to call it a night. I want to thank you all. I'm going to pull one more card for the community. One more card for the animal guide who is going to walk with you through this week. And while I'm shuffling, just remind you that, oh, I'm so glad. I love hearing that. That is just exactly what you needed to hear. That means I've done my job. Thank you for that. I'm so glad. I love how the universe works. Anyway, so, again, please share my video. You can put it on someone else's page or wall. You can tag someone in the comments. And when we're done here, I'm going to share the video to my Facebook page. You can watch it over again if you want. You know, sometime in the middle of the week, if you want more guidance, you can watch. You can choose a different number, see what that guidance was for that one, and I promise it'll make sense to you. I will also upload this to my Perching Wolf Studios YouTube channel. So check that out. Please subscribe. That helps me out. And it also gives you access to a free resource of readings and ceremonies and stories and songs. And I've got plans to do a lot more this year. So stay tuned for that. And like I said, this is a free video, but of course, Jeff Lynn, you can message me. If anyone has questions or want to connect with me, you can message me. You can email me. You can text me. That's what I'm here for. I am your friendly neighborhood shaman. And my job is to support you on your journey, to help you find that unique journey I was just talking about with grouse medicine. And, you know, you can check out my website, perchingwolfstudios.net. You can learn more about me. You can see the different services I offer, readings and teachings and healings. And you can connect with me through my website. You can set up a session with me through that. And what else? Oh, and if you did receive something tonight and you want to reciprocate and give back and support your friendly neighborhood shaman, I do have my PayPal and Venmo information tagged to the top of the comments. I gratefully accept anything anyone wishes to give me. And for those of you that continue to support me and to send me those extra donations, I deepest gratitude. Thank you so much. So I think that is all the announcements for now. And so our last card of the night. Haha. Otter. Go with the flow. See the gift in everything. Even the obstacles, even things that are puzzling you. There is a way to approach things from a place of fun. Otters have nothing but fun. Everything they do is play. So lighten up on yourself, number one, and allow yourself to enjoy yourself. You were put here to enjoy yourself, to play, to find your tribe, to flow with life. When you flow with life, life flows with you, and you will find that the river of life carries you where you need to go. The more we resist it, the more we try to push the river, the harder it gets. And then it becomes just this negative feedback loop, right? But once like Abraham Hicks puts it, drop your oars and allow the river to carry your boat downstream. There's nothing upstream that you need. Everything you need is downstream. So drop the oars and let the river carry you where you're meant to go. Okay? All right, my friends, thank you so much again for joining me tonight, for spending this time and this energy with me. I so appreciate it. I so look forward to this every week. So I hope you'll join me next week. Please invite your friends, share this video far and wide. And until I see you again, know that I love you, that I see you, and that I honor you. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, everyone, and go shining. All right.